Welcome to the Horse Talk Show.
You never heard of a talking horse?
With your host, Louisa Barton.
I want to be a famous rider. I should like to race.
Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital.
Truth is, I help horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. You're trying.
No, you won't let me.
Thank you to Larson Farms, our TV broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton, your host and executive producer of the show, and I have my co-host dancing, Pete Rodda, in the studio. We have a great lineup for you. We've got some news and events, first of all, in this first segment, followed by Dr. Cayot talking about Cushings, or PPID, and then we have a couple of special guests in the studio. And Pete really wants to pronounce Morgan's last name.
No, I don't.
We have Chelsea Canedy with us, and also one of her students is here, Morgan Princiotta. Did I do good? I tried. Listen, we'll spell it for you later. But we're going to start off with some news, first of all. And very sadly, we just heard recently that FEI jumping director Fuste died actually at age 60, had some heart complications, and very, very sad. Lots of thoughts and prayers out to all connected there. He was quite a big part of the FEI jumping world, and Marco actually suffered heart complications. He oversaw a full revision of all the body's jumping rules. He was the delivery of competition at the postponed Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the World Championships, the World Cup, and the Nations Cup finals. So he was a huge part of that world. So definitely our deepest condolences to him. And we have more for you. We still have the Spirit Walk going on, which is so awesome. It's the second Saturday of every month at the Horse Protection Association of Florida, who turned tragedy into triumph.
Go walk with the minis.
I know, isn't that lovely? Who do we have? Faith, hope, love and courage. Courage, I love that. These are 4 very adorable little minis, and you get to take them for a walk, which is very good exercise for them.
No treats.
No treats. You always have to say that, don't you?
Because they wanted to make sure that everybody knows they want to give them a treat. No treats. They're walking off so they get skinny.
Healthy.
Yes, healthy.
Yes. But it's a great opportunity to spend some time just kind of in thought, prayer, meditation, or whatever you'd like to do during that time. But a lovely way to relax and a great way to make a donation to such a phenomenal cause in Micanopy. And you can email Christine at hpaf.org for more information. Make sure you do have an appointment set up for that. And again, second Saturday of the month from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the scheduled visiting hours for that, as long as you've already made your reservation.
So come support them and do a little bit for your own self.
That's right. 501c3. Great cause. We actually received some news, I think just in the last couple of days, that actually confirmed something that we did mention last week on the show, and that was an outbreak of Clostridium botulinum, which is actually botulism as we know it. And there were some date codes that we have up on the screen for you from Top of the Rockies, and those are 111222, 111322, 111422, and 111522. And 111622. That is Top of the Rockies brand. We do have it up on the screen here for you. If you're watching on TV or Facebook, you'll be able to see that. But I wanted to read those numbers out to you. And obviously, if you're concerned and you have these bags that say Top of the Rockies alfalfa cubes on them, but you can't read the date codes, or you're concerned that the number you have is close to this number and you are comfortable throwing the product away, obviously we're not recommending that you keep it. If you're concerned, even if it doesn't have these numbers, you have to make that decision for your own horses. But they did confirm by testing that it was in fact botulism, and that were some decayed animal parts found in the alfalfa cubes. Florida was not a state that was affected by this. It was more out, I think, Texas and Louisiana, states more out in that area that were affected. But if you're concerned and you feed this alfalfa cube to your horses and you want to reach out to the company, Top of the Rock is, I'm sure they would welcome any questions or concerns that you might have. But certainly knowing that was confirmed, that was in fact what they were suspicious of. And I think there was somewhere up in the number of 90 plus horses that were actually affected by this. And quite a lot of them, unfortunately, had neurological symptoms and passed away. So just something to be aware of, as we mentioned last week, and then to get the confirmation that was actually discovered to be correct is something that we want everybody to be aware of. We know we have listeners way outside the state of Florida. And
remember, January 10th, 2023 is when we're posting this. So
yes.
If you see this...
If you're listening to this 3 years from now, don't panic.
Yeah, please do not panic.
One of the things, that's a good point, because we do leave our shows posted. It runs for each show runs for a week on Equus Television, and it only runs on Saturday morning on the radio, but it does stay on podcast for many, many years to come. And it does stay on our Facebook channel as well for many years to come. So if you rolled backwards and you're listening to this years later, don't panic. It's a good point. Yeah. And we've got more for you. We've got the MTRA 40-year celebration coming up. Very exciting to celebrate the premier accredited therapeutic horseback riding program. The Marion Therapeutic Riding Association do some amazing work. And February 4th, 2023, so coming right up at the CF Vintage Farm from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That is 4020 Southeast 3rd Avenue in Ocala. I'm sure many of you who are in this area have been past the beautiful vintage farm there at CF's property. But MTRA certainly are worth celebrating, and wonderful organizations like this that do therapeutic riding with these children and adults see some really incredible results from this. And 40 years is a long time.
That is a long time.
A long time to celebrate. So certainly very, very special. Do we have a word of the week? And then we'll get to this, which is important. Grace. Grace is our word of the week. Wonderful. We've got a very special event coming up for one of our sponsors. Larson Hay has their Customer Appreciation Days coming up. Woo-hoo. Friday the 13th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday the 14th from 8 a.m. to noon. Huge savings on 3-string alfalfa, 3-string ONA, half pasture bales, full pasture bales, $50 off a ton. Prorated for smaller loads, savings on Larson feeds, savings on Larson shavings. So please support them and go and be appreciated. They did a lot for us during Ian, during the hurricane. I can't say enough about this company and the support they give to our community. So go and be appreciated on Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th.
Always good. Hey.
Always good to be appreciated. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to have Dr. Cayot with us. And we're going to talk about Cushings, so stay with us on the show. This portion of the show is presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. And our TV broadcast sponsor is Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Supporting sponsors are DAC Vitamins and Minerals, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip LLC, Piranha, Florida HVAC Services, Crystal Cryo, Ocala Dog Ranch, and The Drinking Post. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
With over 70 years of collective experience in the horse industry, Lip Chip was built with integrity by horsemen for horsemen. Introducing the Chip Link system. Powered by Lip Chip, where a 15-digit unique ID becomes a key to unlock not only identity, but also health paperwork, owner information, and even photos of each horse. So simple, even a child can do it. The future is here. The future is lip chip.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
I'm Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show and Equus Television here at Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care with Dr. Adam Cayot, our regular weekly veterinarian on the show. And we are going to talk a little bit about something that we see even starting off in some younger horses with metabolic issues, turning into PPID as they get older, better known probably to most of us as Cushings. Dr. Cayot, tell us a little bit about, first of all, what Cushings or PPID is, and then kind of when you start to see it, at what age in horses?
Typically, Cushings is an old horse disease. Cushings is basically what happens is the pituitary gland gets a tumor on it. The pituitary gland sits at the base of the brain, so it's not like we can go in there and operate on that and remove that. The pituitary gland produces all kinds of hormones and regulatory chemicals in our body. When the tumor occurs, what ends up happening is the pituitary gland continuously produces endogenous steroids, this natural steroid that's produced by the body, and that regulation is not there. So you'll see horses that tend to grow a woolly coat and don't shed their coat. They'll have, a lot of times they'll have fat pad displacement, around their body. And then a lot of them, because of the endogenous steroid production, you may have laminitic problems, and laminitis can be a normal thing. But the gold standard of does this horse have Cushings would be the non-shedding of their winter coat, and summer comes around and they just don't shed. That's pathognomonic, what we say, pathognomonic for Cushings. There are tests, blood tests, that are relatively easy to take or easy to do that can also give you a definitive if you're kind of on the border, because there's certainly horses that are Cushionoid but don't necessarily show all the signs or the clinically golden standard signs, what we say. So that's what it is, and it typically is an older horse problem, 20s to 30s, so that's when you typically see it. You can see it in somewhat younger horses. I think the earliest I've seen it is like 12 or 13, but your young ones, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, you don't typically see that. You're much more likely to see metabolic issues or metabolic syndrome in those types of horses, and all this is kind of related because you do see similar things with Cushings as opposed to metabolic syndrome, and sometimes they have both. Metabolic syndrome is a horse that it's almost like a diabetic horse. It can't process sugars well. So these are typically your easy keeper horses. The horses that get chubby on, you don't feed them hardly anything, straw and maybe a tumbleweed or something, and they still get fat. And those horses can be tested as well. but diet issues are probably the most important thing to help manage those problems and controlling their diet. It's very hard for some people because they basically don't get to eat much. We
hate that. We feel terrible when we can't feed our horses.
That's exactly right. And and I get that because you have these horses, you like giving them carrots, you like giving them treats, and they appreciate it, and that's a whole bond thing going on there. And I totally appreciate that, and I understand it's hard, but I try to stress to them that you need to think about your horse and what's best for your horse, because you can understand what's best for him or her, and they can't. They are going to miss their peppermints, and might miss their carrots, and they might miss their horse cookies.
Well, there are horse cookies now designed for horses with that, so at least still you need to minimize. But yes, yeah.
So try to be smart with that. I typically do diet restriction. Generally put them on a thyroid supplement that can actually, the idea is to make them hyperthyroid, and that kind of speeds up their metabolism, so it helps them lose weight. And low starch diet, high fat content, those sorts of things that help with that, and we see a lot of it. And the good part about it is it can be managed. You have to be disciplined. Cushings is a little bit easier. You certainly have to worry about diet a bit, but we have good meds that those horses can be on that help manage the problem. You're not going to cure these horses of that. You're obviously not going to get rid of that tumor, but you can manage the side effects, and that's what ends up getting them in the end. You get a horse that founders really bad, and you can't, you can lose the battle to that. So if you can manage it early on, then that's the name of the game. And we do have tools available to us that help on both of these issues, as far as management and control, and neither one you're going to cure, so to speak, but you can manage all that stuff.
You can definitely help with the symptoms. So really early on, even as young as 3, 4, 5, if you have a horse that's an easy keeper that barely eats anything and is a fat roly-poly, or a pony, which obviously ponies are very predisposed to that, it's very important to manage that early on so that you don't end up with a full-blown Cushing's horse later on. Absolutely,
yeah. And those easy keepers tend to get laminitis and founder too. They don't have to be old to do that. So you get one that's an easy keeper. One of the number one things that needs to go on in your brain is, hey, I need to be careful with what this horse eats. These horses cannot, or they're very, very poor at, like I said, dealing with the sugars that are in the foods, and that includes grass. So if you have them outside on a grass field, when the grass comes in, like right now it's dormant, but it's going to start coming in down here. It starts concentrating its sugars when it starts coming back from dormancy. That's when I see it. Spring and fall, I'll see these horses pop up with laminitic episodes because the grasses are concentrating its sugars, and then the horses are eating it, and they can't process it. The insulin levels are not what they're supposed to be, and they can't process that sugar, and it hits their feet, and you'll have tender-footed horses walking all over the place. So I tell people those are the 2 times a year that you have to be really careful about, spring and fall, when the grass is going dormant, and then when it's coming back too. You have to start mowing again.
So if you actually have access to a more dry lot with less rich grass, or you have a barn where you can put the horse in the stall 12 hours a day or whatever and limit that, so there isn't a rush of sugar all at once.
Yeah. If you can control what they're eating, that's the best thing to do. And if you don't have that access to a dry lot, I mean, that's actually the best thing. That way you can control exactly how much they're eating. But if you don't have access to that and you want them out in the field, I'll have them get a grazing muzzle, and
then we all feel terrible about those, don't we?
Exactly. That's the problem. This is the problem. Oh, I feel so bad. But they figure it out. They look kind of funny. They look like a little bit like Hannibal Lecter out there walking around with this thing over their muzzle. But you have to think, I'm
Saving-
helping him.
saving
He
his
doesn't.
life.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. So they're able to eat. They're able to drink. They're able to figure it out. The only problem you got to worry about is a lot of times buddies pull them off. So if he has a pasture buddy, they'll play with them and pull them off of their face. So just be aware if that happens. But
So check regularly.
check regularly. Keep an eye out. Exactly. Keep an eye out.
Dr. Cayot, that was fantastic. We covered a lot. Metabolics, Cushings, and things to be aware of if you have that easy keeper, even if it's a younger horse. Just be aware of that. Keep an eye on it, monitor it, talk to your veterinarian about it, because it certainly could lead to other much more serious things. Spring and fall, 2 times of the year, to be extra careful. I'm Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show here with Dr. Adam Cayot. This portion of the show is presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. And our TV broadcast sponsor is Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Supporting sponsors are DAC Vitamins and Minerals, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip LLC, Piranha, Florida HVAC Services, Crystal Cryo, Ocala Dog Ranch, and The Drinking Post. Crystal Cryo offers cryo skin facials, cryo slimming, and cryo toning, all non-invasive with no skin damage, no discomfort, no recovery time, and cryo offers a healthier alternative for anti-aging, boost collagen, and freeze fat cells. Check them out now at crystalcryo.net. Crystal Cryo, a beauty spa specializing in body contouring to enhance confidence with self-care, one body at a time.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care seeks to be a leading international veterinary practice that provides state-of-the-art veterinary care to their patients while fostering professional relationships with their clients that stand the test of time. For 24/7 and the best in equine care, check out Peterson and Smith at petersonsmith.com or like them on Facebook now for more information. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the third segment of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our TV broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton in the studio with my co-host, Dancing Pete Rodda, and we have a special guest with us, Chelsea Canedy. Chelsea, thank you for joining us. You might have to edge a little bit closer to the microphone.
Will do.
Yes, it'll definitely help. So, Pete actually told me a little bit about you, which was wonderful. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome.
And so he told me to be quiet. He's going to do most of the talking.
I did hear him say that.
I know, right? You did, didn't
Are
you?
you having grace today?
Yes. Yes.
That's our word for the
It
day.
is our word for the day, Grace. See that? Straight out of the gentle carousel deck of cards here. Grace. It's a great word.
Yes.
I give you a lot of grace all the time.
Yes.
Don't
So
I?
She's trying to get her numbers up.
I am. Well, it's
Oh,
true.
is that how that works?
Yes.
You have,
You
the
have to
word,
try
you
and
have to
say
try
it.
You can join in and you can
Okay.
win.
I'll do my best.
And there are no prizes.
Yeah.
Can we add to it like graceful?
Oh, yeah, sure.
No.
No!
we got told no.
straight from the show producer there. Did you hear that? It was a loud no over there. So apparently not.
Okay.
Grace it is. Just Grace. Only Grace.
So, Chelsea, how did you get started in horses?
Let's see. I did not grow up in a family that had anything to do with horses. My parents, I wasn't introduced to horses in any way by any family member. I think I started with horses at Girl Scout camp when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Great way to start.
Yep, and I went for a summer and did the sleepaway thing, and that was it. I was bitten. Like there was no getting around it.
Trouble.
Yeah.
They had
My
no
poor
idea
mother.
that small investment into the Girl Scout camp became.
Yeah, it was
You
bad.
you see the horse fathers that go, don't let your daughter get the bug.
For sure.
trouble.
So yeah, when I got home, my mom said, do you want to dance or do you want to ride horses? And I was like, horses.
And
No
Pete
choice.
does both.
I
He
do both.
dances and does horses.
There you go.
Yeah.
You should dance on horses.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
How have I never seen this?
You just haven't seen the video yet.
I do remember my mother pointing out to me at one point, though, I had one of those All About Me books you fill out when you're very young. And I think I filled it out when I was about 5. And it asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a horseback rider, which I thought was really interesting because I had literally never even touched a horse or seen a horse up close at that point in my life. So don't know where that came from.
You were
but-
born with it, in other
Guess
words.
so.
Born
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then how did you get towards the professional, and I believe you event?
Yep. So I ended up finding a local stable that would, let me work a little because I had a single mom and not a lot of extra money for something like riding. As we know, it's an expensive sport. So I worked to drop me off on the weekends and after school whenever possible, and I would just catch ride and take lessons once a week. And then a pony club ran out of that barn. And so I just fell in with the pony club kids and I
Pony
stayed.
Club is so fun.
Oh, it was so good. Like, it's such a great organization, and I can't begin to express how much I learned about horse care and being around horse people and different, varieties of horse sports because of that exposure. It's something I hope that my kids can do if they're into horses too. And so the Pony Club then had a very eventing forward track. Now they really differentiate. You can do a dressage track if you want to, a show jump track if you want to, even other options. But then it was like eventing was the main thing. So I just started down that path and I loved it. If you're an eventer, you can't not be one. Like, I've tried. And if you have that bug for cross country, you
That's
can't
what
give
got
it up.
me when I was a kid in England was the cross country because there weren't as many options as we have here in the horse capital of the world for going places to be. We didn't have a greenway that you could just go off and ride on if you want and jump logs and things. If you wanted to gallop across country, you had to be an eventer or you had to be a fox hunter. And then you would get to jump over things whether you wanted to or not because your pony was chasing the hunt and was going to go over them or through them or something. But the way in England to get out and enjoy the countryside and actually be able to jump a cross-country course was
to event.
Right. Otherwise, you were stuck in the ring jumping, and that
I
was
never
it.
understand why they don't just have a cross-country course as a show.
Well, they're starting to do a little bit of that now. Like,
It's not a bad idea.
yeah, like Derby Cross is becoming a bigger thing. It's not like a USEA sport or anything yet, but there's a lot of places that will run that. So it's a little bit of a mixture between the cross country and the show jump, and so it's usually in a more open space, and you get to play
The
over
jumps
a
can be a
variety
bit
of
more
obstacles.
rustic, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and so
a
that's
bit
pretty fun.
So then how did you get into the professional? Did you go work for somebody? Did you go to college?
Yeah,
Did you?
I did a little bit of both, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went. So my mom made me go to college, even though I was like, all I want to do is horses. But she was like, you need a degree, and the only other thing I really loved was art, and so I went to school for an art degree, which most people will say, you're not going to do much with that afterward. But that wasn't a problem because I knew I was going to do horses. So I actually went to school.
She was thinking of painting horses.
Yeah, all sorts of anything to do with horses. So I actually went to school in Connecticut where I grew up for 2 years, or a year and a half, and then I spent a semester abroad. And when I came home, I went to school at University of West Florida in Pensacola. And then while I was there, I connected with a few people who were then in this area as well. So I did do a bit of a working student stint with Darren Cha-Cha when he was here. But I had this idea that I just wanted to be a professional, just jump right in. And I did. And so I ended up moving from, when I finished college, up to the northeast corner of Tennessee, like right on the Virginia line, and found a farm that was willing to have me. And I just started kind of running a business out of there. And Pony Club was such a huge thing for me then, too, because that allowed me to connect with the local clubs. Having been a graduate, I was able to reach out and say, you know, I'm happy to help your club and happy to instruct your kids. And that was a huge jump for me into that community. And then from there, I gained some clients, eventually one wonderful client who built her own farm in Southwest Virginia near Charlottesville area. And I ended up moving up there to run her facility. And interestingly enough, I don't know if this was apparent in any of the things you looked at about me, but I actually stopped for a long time being a professional, for about almost 10 years.
Really?
Because I burned out hard.
I would know nothing about that.
Neither.
Yeah.
No, nothing. So I was chasing a really competitive track. You know, I was like, I was just working my butt off trying to become somebody, and just got really burnt out and really exhausted on chasing things that didn't seem like they were coming to fruition. And actually what really got me was feeling like I wasn't doing as good a job for the horses as I should have been, because I had this goal that I was chasing.
This makes sense of what I watched you teach when I was over at my friend's Donna's.
Yeah, so your goals kind of got ahead of what you really loved almost, and took over. So your perspective got altered a little bit, rather than
big time.
What you love became you almost too focused on it.
I had a really poignant moment at an event with a nice horse that I think I know now that I moved along too quickly, and she got scared, and I pushed anyway, and I felt terrible about it, and it really was like a moment where I was like, this is not okay. And beyond that, I started to really feel like my self-worth was wrapped up in how well I was doing as a competitor, and I knew that was not healthy, and like something had to change.
How wonderful that you recognized that, though. That sound meant that now we have 30 seconds.
Wrap it up.
So we're going to wrap it up, but we have the second half of the show coming up, and we get to keep Chelsea with us for another segment. So we're going to hear more about what she does and how you can learn more about her as well. So stay with us on the Horse Talk Show. We'll be right
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show.
You never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this.
With your host, Louisa Barton.
What does it feel like to be in love with a horse?
Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience.
Back in the saddle again.
Now, here's your pretty Louisa Barton.
You're fab. You're switched on. You're a bit of all right. Yes. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa.
With over 70 years of collective experience in the horse industry, Lip Chip was built with integrity by horsemen for horsemen. Introducing the Chip Link system, powered by Lip Chip, where a 15-digit unique ID becomes a key to unlock not only identity, but also health paperwork, owner information, and even photos of each horse. So simple, even a child can do it. The future is here. The future is Lip Chip.
This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy. Find new roads.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Centre, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centres for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specialising in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the second half of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor, Idaho's
finest alfalfa.
Got my co-host, Dancing Pete Rodda, in the studio, and we have a special guest with us, Chelsea Canedy. We've been talking a little bit about how she got her start. If you missed that segment, through some pony club.
Rewind?
Yes,
Playback.
and she became an event rider, and of course that's a big challenge, the triathlon of horse sports. And she has taken a lot of what she learned in that time in trying to reach her goals, and even feeling at one point that she pushed a horse too quickly. She learned so much about horse behavior and took that on into her current career. And it's wonderful to have her in here as a guest. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you, Pete, for being 7 for 7 on awesome guest. But anyway, let's carry on where I've been told to stop talking.
Okay. So, your big influencers, we were talking off camera. What are your big influencers and why that created what you do now?
Well, when I stepped back into the horse sport world after my break, I knew I wanted to do it differently. Like, I just knew I had to come in differently. I had to come in with more understanding of the horse and more understanding of horse behavior and behavioral science in general. And so I started looking around for people who did that work, and I stumbled upon Tick Maynard, who's one of my good friends and big influences, and obviously his wife Sinead is also a top event rider, and so I love the way they're trying to bring those understandings of horse behavior and animal behavior in general into sport, and so that's one of my goals as well. And then I look outside of the eventing world a lot. Shauna Koresh, she's one of the innovators of using positive reinforcement with horses, which is like a game changer for people who don't know anything about it. You got to look into it, because it's like it will magnify your training by 1,000. It's pretty amazing stuff. And we've been using it in every other animal world except for with horses, which I think is so interesting. Warwick Schiller, I love his work. I love Dan James's work, Jonathan Field's work. Yeah, there's so many good horsemen out there.
So what sets you aside different from the normal event rider, the normal person helping students?
I think when I took that gap for me, it was actually really for me, because I knew I needed to change my perspective. And I did a big deep dive into my own psyche, into my own stuff. And I really spent like 2.5 years really digging into that world and that part of me. And I think that gives me a really unique perspective on what other people are going through as they try to work with their own horses. I feel like I use a lot of meditation and a lot of mindfulness work in for my own journey with horses, and I help my riders do the same thing. And I think I just have a really a good ability to see what a horse and a student need to work together really well and to help them slowly chip away at those goals.
Oh, it's not supposed to be really fast?
No. Shockingly, it's not an overnight process. It takes a bit of time. Yeah.
Well, I have students that always go, "Oh, I'm frustrated with this," and I said, "Well, you don't think I'm frustrated with this?" And that's a great example of you quitting for 10 years to revamp and then come at it at a different position.
Yeah.
So tell us about these pictures.
I love this. This is beautiful.
Oh well, I'm very fortunate to have worked with Noel Floyd. I don't know if you know that outfit, but they do a wonderful online learning platform. And so last year when I was here in Ocala, I was able to film 3 courses with them. One of them is really about that mindset that you bring to your horse every day and getting that set up before you even are with your horse. And then we did one on the basics of groundwork, like the things that you want to be able to do with your horse every day just to be safe and feel like you know where your horse is at. And then we did one on working with a Barnes Sour or Buddy Sour horse. And
that's actually quite a common.
Yeah, I mean
thing
they're
for
herd
horses.
animals.
I
It's
was
like,
about to say
it's normal.
They want
It's
to be
just
with the
normal.
herd. I know.
Yeah,
One of the things I loved about my Tennessee Walker I had for years was I could always take him and go ride it,
it's
by
a
myself.
special horse when you can do that.
And but that is something horses struggle with a lot because they feel like
Totally.
they should be.
Yeah.
And then when that's also the place that they eat and sleep, and that's where their pals are, it's like they've really got to be bonded and trust you to go away from all of that and trust you that you're going to look after them. And obviously this horse trusts you.
That's Albert. He's a good
Albert's
kid.
lovely.
Thank you.
Look at Albert. He's like, what do you want me to do, Mom?
A little Spanish walk. We're just playing around. He loves to play games.
Oh, lovely.
And that's him, being a horse at work as well, which is so fun.
Isn't that great when you have that balance where you can have that play and also then have that when they know this is work time.
Yeah, I just think that's
Time to do
actually
the
really
job.
important for them, right?
So did you get back into showing?
Oh yeah, yep. I event competitively again, and I do dressage competitively as well. And I actually think that that's really interesting. I love to compete. Like I have that tenacity and that excitement in me to do that, but it's got a balance. Like the horse has to be happy in the work, and that's one of my big goals in my work in general is to show that can happen. Like you can be competitive and your horse can be competitive and they can be happy.
Very good.
Yeah.
So that's something you work on with your students.
100%. That's in Maine, but it doesn't look like it right now. Right now
it's not raining.
Snowing. No, it's snowing right now.
snowing
There's a
in
whole
Maine.
lot of white up there.
It's very cold right now, I think, isn't it?
Yes, sure is. It's nice to be here instead.
Yes. Oh, that's a gorgeous photograph.
Thank you. That's we have a half-mile track at my farm.
Beautiful.
And that's out back on the
and
track.
look at those dapples.
Yeah, that was like about a year and a half ago. He's grayed out quite a bit since then.
Gorgeous. Wow. That's really, really incredible. So what are some of the tips that you, we won't give all your secrets away, but what are some of the tips that you give some of your students to help them with that relationship with the horse and how important that is, expressing that, especially with super competitive people that want to push on and get there to the big win as you reach that point.
Yeah.
So how wonderful that you can take your experience with that and tell your students this is so important, the difference between your horses then and your horses now.
Yeah. One of my longtime trainers growing up used to say, the hurrier you go, the behinder you get.
I like that.
And that's really true, right? Like,
That
the slowing down, like it's so important. And I mean slowing down before I even walk into the barn. Like I encourage everybody to know where they are emotionally, mentally, physically before they walk into the barn, because the plan they might have had may not be the plan we can do depending on where they are. And so that piece of it is like primary for me. And then definitely slowing down and breaking things down into their most basic steps for both the horse and for the human. I have to catch myself as a teacher often being like, okay, this is not working. What is the small step here that we need to take for this to start making sense? And I think pairing that, I really try to make sure that my students become trainers. Like every time they're touching their horse, they're training their horse. And I want them to know what they're doing at all times and how it's affecting their horse. So for my students, they need to have an understanding of animal behavior and behavioral psychology in animals, and understanding how pressure affects horses and how positive reinforcement affects their horse, and being able to apply those concepts when they're doing their personal rides when I'm not just there helping them. I don't want it to be just about me helping them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to be able to help themselves too.
Absolutely. Yes. You may not always be there. So
Exactly.
Yes. That sound meant we have to go to break.
Wrap up again.
But we're coming back with Chelsea, and we're actually adding one of her students in now, Morgan, as well. So we'll be back in just a minute on the Horse Talk Show. Stay with us for more of this wonderful stuff. Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equine, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center. Having an air conditioner that works well in Florida is a must. Experience peace of mind by working with Florida HVAC Services, a family-owned and operated company taking pride in always putting their customers first, providing air conditioner repair, installation, and maintenance services on all makes and models. For those suffering from allergies or asthma, air quality testing is recommended and hospital-grade air filters are available. Ask about a pure air filtration system today. Check them out at flhvacservices.com or like them on Facebook. Florida HVAC Services, serving all of North Central Florida with honesty, integrity, and the highest value of workmanship. And that's 100% guaranteed.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at seminolefeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equine with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equine came to life. Equine, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Dancing Pete Rodda, my co-host in the studio. I'm Louisa Barton, and we have special guests in the studio with us. We've been chatting to Chelsea Canedy. She has had some great advice and wonderful stories and shared a little bit of how she got started and kind of what took her down a little bit of a different road. And now we're adding in a student of hers, Morgan Princiotta. Because that's how we would say it in England. And we've got goodie bags for both of you from Piranha. Full of goodies.
Fun.
Yes, and look, they are.
I know, that's so weird.
I know. Those have got Piranha goodies in there. We love them. They're a great supporter of ours. So, so we hope you enjoy those. So, Morgan, tell us a little bit about you. You've been a student for how long?
I don't know.
You just started showing up at clinics.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of stuck around.
I found her through Tick. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
Tick's work, just via like the internet and finding out about him when he wrote his book. And then he was coming to Maine. He was coming to Chelsea's farm. So I actually went to a clinic that she was having him at, and then I stuck around.
You
Then I
stuck
left.
around?
It was a few years ago now, yeah?
It was like
4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
And what do you do for Chelsea? Because I got to watch.
Like, social media stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that does that for her.
Oh, okay.
She has another girl in Maine too, Katie. We do it together. But yeah, we create content and do all
hilarious
the
things.
technology
it's very fun.
things that Chelsea does.
It would not happen if it wasn't for these two ladies. It's pretty wonderful. Oh, look, she did that.
Well done. Yeah, look at that.
She needs a shirt that says, "I have people for that."
People for that, yes.
exactly.
That's wonderful. So what have you learned from being a student? What kinds of things have you learned that you think have been really beneficial for your relationship with your horse?
Probably the taking it slow, or taking the time it takes. Probably, my horse, I'm new to eventing. It's kind of a new world for me, and my horse is green as well, or was. He's a little bit better now, but a lot of people in eventing, like if you run clean, if you do well, like beginner, novice, you move up.
Yeah.
And she's very, wants us to stay in it until it feels so easy and so natural. And so I think being patient is probably something I've learned from Chelsea.
Ooh.
Taking my time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
Rather than rushing up just because you, like you said, you ran clean. You're like, oh, I can do more. No.
Yeah.
Wait until you ran clean and you're really super comfortable with it.
And the horse is comfortable.
And the horse is.
And just because you passed the test doesn't mean you know the
Just 'cause
information.
you got over the jumps that he can jump from a standstill doesn't mean it was pretty.
I got the time though.
Yeah.
Yes, and safety is so important, and probably in eventing, I think it's probably one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And you're obviously much safer when your horse is comfortable, trusting you, and the relationship between you and the horse is so good.
Solid.
It makes
Horse
a
is
huge
happy.
difference. Yep. And even if, God forbid, something does go wrong, if you have a horse that trusts you, you have a good relationship with, you've got much better.
You can move beyond it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
and get past it. So
For
I think
sure.
that's really, really huge.
Yeah.
When you first came to be a student with Chelsea, what are some of the kind of the very first things that were really noticeably different to you? Obviously, the being patient, right? Yes.
And then I think growing up in the horse world, like I've ridden horses since I was 8. A lot of animal trainers, in my experience, aren't also people persons.
Yes, you are so spot on.
Chelsea's also a people person.
That's very important.
Like a 50-50. She's got good people skills as well as animal skills. Because half of this job is training people.
Yeah.
Most of this job is training
Most of it's training people, right? What is it we say? We're trying to help horses with people problems.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, and that is, you are so spot on there that so often somebody can be a really good horse trainer and they have 0 people skills. And if you don't have people skills, it's really hard
You're not
to teach
going to really
people.
help the horses. Because
Yeah.
you got to help the people so that they can help the horses.
So here we go. Chelsea was saying she was wanting to create trainers out of her students. So we were watching a show here. So Morgan, if you were having trouble with your horse at the show that you couldn't get over before you had to show, what would you do?
Scratch.
Ah, what a concept.
Right answer.
And why is that so important?
Because it's not worth both of our mental states. It's not worth, I mean, if you enter something that you're not ready for, you're taking leaps and bounds back. Where if you just scratch, it might just be one step back. You just need to get some more perspective and maybe go out next month and be fine. But if you push them to a point where this becomes a miserable experience for them that they never want to come back to, you're opening up a can of worms that you never
That's
wanted
so
to.
true.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, hearing your students say that, because I know how I am with my students.
Makes me so proud.
Yay! That's what I was gonna say. That's what I want to hear my students saying.
Yeah,
Not
makes me so
when are we
happy.
gonna do this? When are we gonna do that?
Right.
When are we gonna show? When are we gonna go do this? It's like, why don't you get these basics down and then showing's an easy thing.
Go ahead.
I think Chelsea's really made me a big fan of clinics, like more so than horse shows. I like to go to learn from different people. I feel more excited to go to a clinic than I do to go to a horse show. I like to.
Because you think I'm going to learn more. I'm going to learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Actually, I love that because if you're very competitive, you know, you were talking about how you've always been competitive, and even when you took your break, you know, you missed that because you didn't have that competitive part.
Yeah.
But you took a break that benefited you so much, and obviously is benefiting so many other people as well.
Yeah.
But how important that is that you that you enjoy that you know that what you're learning in these processes in these clinics is helping you actually compete better.
That's why I love coming to Ocala, because there's like a cookie jar of learning. It's like everywhere I turn there's someone I can glean something from, and it makes me like, I come home to Maine after my season here like ready to teach people so many new interesting things. And you can't be a good teacher if you stop learning.
That's really true. That's absolutely true.
I think you take that from Tick too, like finding different, like he wants to find like the most different people, like and Chelsea does too, like these people that like just like incorporate them in the horse world somehow. Yeah. Like people that train orcas, like let's see how they can help us train horses.
Yeah. Definitely. Pretty amazing.
Elsa Sinclair, who like doesn't use fences or ropes or anything, and the two of them could sit out there and watch her for
days.
She's fascinating, but it is like.
Yeah.
It is fascinating, but it's like they kind of dork it up together.
There is something really beautiful about watching a horse doing something for a person completely willingly, trusting
when they understand it,
when they have that relationship that they're at liberty, or they're just doing exactly what they're supposed to do because they want to.
Choosing
it. Yes, it's I think it's one of the most wonderful things to watch.
Yeah, me too. And I think what's really interesting about it is it's not rocket science. Like anyone can learn how to do it if they're willing to slow down, check in with themselves maybe in a different way than they usually have, and learn some basics about like the signals that their horses are giving them.
Change the way you look at it.
Yeah, you have to change your perspective.
It really is. Tell us, Chelsea, how listeners can find out more, like your website and what kind of things you offer, clinics, lessons, all of that.
So I have a website. It's just my whole name.com, chelseacanedy.com. You can find me on Facebook under my farm name, or Canedy Horsemanship and Performance. You can find me on Instagram under my name as well. And then, I do a lot of teaching at home, but I love teaching clinics. So I hope to be doing a lot more of that this coming year. So that would be great if anybody wants to have me around. I would love to travel and do more of that.
And if you're listening, not watching, it's Canedy, because sometimes American accents make it sound like Kennedy. And it's not, it's Canedy. So,
Canedy.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure you know that if you're listening, not watching. And we're going to keep our guests with us, if they don't mind, for the last segment of the show, because we'd love to have their commentary on what we have for you to close out. So stay with us on the Horse Talk Show. We'll be right back. Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equine, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Center, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centers for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media.
This show is brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the final segment of the Horse Talk Show for this week, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
And we've had special guests in the studio with Pete and I this week. We've had Chelsea and Morgan here with us, which has been absolutely wonderful. Whoop, whoop. But we're starting this segment with Pete and his horsemanship tip of the week. Take it away.
Dancin Pete's tip of the week, brought to you by Complementary Horsemanship. Today's tip of the week is consistency. So are you consistent how you ask every time, or do you change it every time? So being consistent to a horse is very important so that they can learn and understand what you're saying. Not, oh, that was different. Oh, that's like talking to you. Being consistent with your verbiage.
He consistently tells me to stop talking.
But at least I'm consistent about it.
He is very consistent about telling me that I talk too much.
So be consistent, because you're not being fair when you're not consistent.
He's fair. He consistently tells me to shut up. I have to say, right?
Yeah,
you think
right.
he'd give me a little bit of grace on that, wouldn't you?
Ooh. Oh, throwing the grace in.
Throwing,
why do you always put the grace?
The
grace?
Now we're going to take it to a student of Pete's, and he has worked with Mary Quite Contrary, and he's actually helped a lot with the farrier process, which is not easy with Mary Quite Contrary, but at feeding time, Mary's hangry quite often. There's goodness. Mary. She's actually very sweet, but we did give E.J. Neves, the Artist of the Year for Ocala, a heads up in his first learning visit to the donkeys that he should be very careful not to get near Mary's back end at feeding time, because she doesn't mean to get anyone particularly. She's just warning people. And
yes. Ouch, that hurt.
That hurt. And this is EJ afterwards, bless him. And you saw me back way up to give him room to get away from Mary, but he went in close.
He had been fairly wide,
yes,
huh?
He got a good whack to the side, just above the knee. I will say I did witness on Facebook yesterday that he was in the gym working out, so he did survive the perils of Mary, which is good. But we actually took him over to Crystal Cryo, where we did a cryo-soothe treatment on him. Olivia Fuller did immediately.
And that helps with pain.
Oh, and not just pain, but wait until you see afterwards the inflammation completely gone. So this is the ice treatment that is actually done to give you a facial, to help with collagen and that sort of thing. And it also can be done on fat deposits and bellies and butts and all kinds of things, and arms, flabby arms and all that kind of thing. But in this case, this is a cryo-soothe treatment. And look at the lump, how it had gone way down, like way down there afterwards. Amazing. So she recommended EJ maybe come for a couple more the next day, maybe, and the following day to ice that down. But you can see where the tip of her hoof there took a little bit of the skin off.
And you know what they say about donkeys? It's not if they kick you, it's when they want to kick you.
And she really is an ass, an ASS, and that is not a bad word. That is actually the official word for a donkey. But there's a reason that people call people that when they're misbehaving, because yes, that can happen. So and the rest of our weekend was very pleasant, because we actually went out to Demeric Training and Sales, where Olivia actually got to ride my Mustang, which was awesome. My $25 Bureau of Land Management Mustang, and Olivia, who is a fairly new rider, sitting on him. And there is Jackie Demeric, who they, of course, trained and owned, part of Nick's Go, who was the Thoroughbred Horse of the Year last year. And this is actually their 3 top horses, I believe, at the moment, that they are watching very closely, that could potentially be the Juvenile Breeders' Cup winner or the Kentucky Derby winner the following year. And we will, of course, say that my Mustang ponied them when they win. And then afterwards, that's my Mustang Flynn's ears right there. You can see his brand. That's Jackie taking us for a trail ride afterwards. and through the woods, which was really nice. And took a nice relaxing little walk and jog through there. And the Demericks pony horses are just amazing. They're so wonderfully well trained, and Jackie is a really amazing woman. That's Flynn, my Mustang. And,
is that you?
That is. And he is only 3.5 years old, which is amazing. And he was feral and wild when I got him. And that's actually Howdy at the back. That's one of the Demericks pony horses. They have some amazing pony horses. But it was really a wonderful way to spend the morning. We really enjoyed that. It was a great fun time, very relaxing and enjoyable. And we rode for several hours. I was a bit sore the next day because I'm not used to riding for several hours these days, which I was. My legs were like, ooh, I'm not used to this. But that was great fun. We really enjoyed that. So thank you to the Demericks. And we actually have a special event coming up that we want to share with you. And that is the one and only Linda Pirelli. Of course, she's been on the show quite a few times with us, and we love her to bits. She's wonderful, and she teaches and presents on the keys to emotional fitness. Well, we all need that, whether you're a horse person or not, right? Benefiting the Brook USA Foundation, which is an absolutely wonderful foundation. We've interviewed them on the show as well, actually when Tix first started working with them. And they're a wonderful organization. And this is going to be at Highbrooks Acres, January 17th from 3 to 5:30 p.m. There is a $50 donation to audit, and you can make your donation to brookusaevents.org, or you can Venmo it at brookusa, and that is Brook with an E on the end of it if you're listening, not watching. And Copperline Farms is where it'll actually be held, which is 1415 Northeast 155th Place in Citra. They do want you to register ahead of time if you're going to go, and that is the home base of Brook USA ambassadors Sinead Halpin and Tick Maynard. And of course, you probably know the name Sinead if you're familiar in the eventing world, and Tick also in the eventing world, and then for his book and horsemanship that he does as well. So,
and Linda's donating her whole time, so every penny goes to donation.
That is absolutely wonderful, and I think the keys to emotional fitness is a absolutely fantastic topic for her to teach on. And you can contact Donna Blam for more information, and you can RSVP to her as well at Donna@Tik, that's TIK.ca, and that will be how you will register that you're going to be at this event. And I think, for such a great cause and such a wonderful teacher like Linda, to be able to do this for such a wonderful cause. So we love that. So definitely share this if you can, and let's get some people out there to really benefit from this, and also to benefit Brook USA. And if you want to look them up, you can. They do incredible work internationally for horses and donkeys across the globe. So even Mary deserves that, right?
Yes, she does. We will go over feeding next time I'm out there.
Yes, well, before they actually arrived before me, and they were already carrying the hay back there, and I caught up with them. And when I caught up with them, I said to EJ, who's not a horse or donkey person, bless him, he's an artist. Right. He's a brilliant artist. I said, I'm really glad you got kicked in the leg and not the hand or arm, because, you kind of need those when you're an artist. But I said, look, I just want to warn you, EJ, don't get near Mary's back end. Actually, don't get near any of their back ends, but Mary specifically, because when she's hangry, she just boots, So bless him, EJ got his lesson.
Maybe he'll do Ode to Mary for a painting.
Oh, EJ, did you hear that? Ode to Mary. We got to wrap it up. We want to thank our guests so much for being with us this week. Thank you, Pete, 7 for 7. You are a rock star. You're amazing. Whether you're in Ocala, Marion County,
or
the
not,
capital of the world,
or not.
Happy horsing around till the same time next week.